So here we are recording, and I'm just going to go through the process here of getting to your data. So here's your vaccination data. Okay. So, and all I did was I copied all of these. It's all still copied here. Go way over here. Select there. Copy. And then I'm going to open up SPSS. Okay, and we want to look at this empty table right here. You see the variables are across, so I make sure you're in data view, not variable, but in data view, and then you just place your cursor right on the first square and then paste your data in, and there you go. So all of your data is in. And then if you go to variable view, this is where you can change the names of the variables like we were starting to do. You can change the names. So just so they're more familiar, just say question 1, question 2, which one is an average kind of thing, because you'll see how that figures in the table that we're going to produce later. So change those as you will, because you have to make sure that you know which question from your survey is or is not correlating with another question. So back in data view, we go to analyze, into correlate, and bivariate. And I want to move all of these variables into here. You can do them, you can select if you want to and just go through the ones you think that are important, but this is a way to get it all in one big table. So I select them. I wonder if I can select a whole bunch. I can. All right. So they're all in there. You want to do a Pearson. It's going to compare all of them to each other, two-tailed test. Leave everything else the way it is. I press OK, and I don't know what that was. It was like a little window came up. But here we are. This produced a huge correlation table. That's what we're looking at right here. Here's variable 1, and here's variable 1. So all the variables are listed down here, and then they're listed again up here, and then we would use the, we look at the variable along here, and then we go over and we see the correlation between those two variables will be in the table. Now it's important to recognize that only half of this table, you only need half of this table. You see where all the ones are? That's, well, variable 1 and variable 1 correlate with each other. Variable 2, they're a 1-to-1, they're the same variable. So you see those ones going across right diagonally. You only need one half. You need this half or this half. The data that's over here is the same that's over here. So you're just looking, so you're not looking at this whole table, you're actually, so I'm going to look over here. So I look at variable 1, and what I'm going to be looking for in terms of the data is I'm going to go across and I'm going to see if there are any relationships between variables, variable 1 and any of the other variables that were significant. Now significance is tallied on this sheet by little asterisks. And so I'm looking at variable 1, and I go across, and of course 1-to-1 with variable 1. Variable 2, no, but look at variable 3. Now these two questions were at the beginning of your, they're measuring the same issue. And so we would expect some high correlation. So you'll see that variable 1 correlates very highly with variable 3 and variable 4 and variable 5. Now, when you've labeled these, you'll know that this was your third, fourth, and average. We would expect these. These are not surprising. When the groupings, those should correlate with each other because you're asking about the general area. So you don't have to report those out. What you want to do is go beyond that. So we start scrolling here to the right, and we're looking that right here we have variable 12, 13, and 14. I don't know what those are, but we know that the variable 1 correlated with variable 12 and 13 and 14. And you'll see the Pearson numbers are 0.016, 0.013, 0.013, and the single asterisk means, and it says this in the table as well, that this is at the 0.05 confidence level. The other one is at the 0.01 if there's two asterisks. So you want to look at variable 1 and see how it relates to variable 12, 13, and 14. Now these are positive correlations, you'll see. So positive correlations mean they go up and down together. So the people score on your first question moved along with people's score on question 12, 13, and 14. So you're going to want to report that out. What does that mean? So you're going to look at the survey, look at, number them down there. Make sure you include the extras for the averages. And you go through and like, what was question 14? And like, oh, okay, this variable and that variable, they related together, and your data has given you that. Now let's keep on looking to the right here. Is there anything else? And there are. We have a correlation with variable 19, and we have a correlation with variable 22. So you want to report out each one of those, and then looking at the questions, you want to tell me what does that mean. So if question number 1 is, I don't like, I can't remember what it was, but whatever question 1 was about immunizations, and then we look at question 22, that those correlated. And you want to explain that in words. So you want to report out all of these relationships that you found out and explain them in terms of the answer on this question and the answers. You can say, people who, the more people, like you may state something for each one of these relationships. You might state the people who, the more people disliked immunizations, the more likely they were to feel that JFK's assassination was a cover-up. You're just reporting that data. And that's your entire results section, is going through this document. There's not many. If you look, you go through each line here. Now, each variable is 3 lines. You get the Pearson R, then the actual, that's the significance, and then you get the N. And you see 32 all over here because you had 32 subjects that did this. Now then, let's say we go to variable 2. You're going to start looking through variable 2. We're looking for those asterisks, variable 2 and variable 12. And then variable 2, and that's it. variable 2 only correlated with variable 12. So then you could look at that relationship. And you make it down, just kind of looking over here, we see there's one there, 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 there's one there. There's a lot of places where it's not. So your task is to go through this table, identify all of those relationships, and discuss each one. And then in your conclusions, in your discussion, what you want to do is look at that data and draw some conclusions about your original hypotheses related to people's feelings about immunizations and these other factors. So in your conclusion, it's just words. You're not reporting the actual statistics. In the results section, you're saying question 1 was significantly correlated with question 12, P equals 0.365 at the, R equals 0.365, P less than 0.05. That means you're giving me the Pearson correlation, and you're giving the actual less than either 0.05 or less than 0.01, depending on how many asterisks there are, to tell me to what degree is that significant. And then a brief write-up. What does that mean? Then you can say people who tended to say this also tended to say this. Or when people, you might see negative correlations where people who scored high on this particular question tended to score low on this other question. So you're just reporting that all out, and then in the conclusion section, you're just kind of summarizing what, kind of take a look at that whole thing. So maybe you're going to be at 20 of these, let's say, and you think, well, what does this say about my hypotheses? What conclusions can I draw? Did I get the same kind of results that I got from the study that I'm replicating? And that's it. That's all you have to do. So some of this is just tedious going through and writing this stuff down and looking at that survey and making sure you understand what the questions, how the questions are related to each other, and writing that down, and then drawing those conclusions, and you're done. Once you've finished all that, submit the paper, and we're good. So just mechanically go through this. It's just a task to get done. So I hope this was clear enough to go from that spreadsheet, copying it into SPSS, writing, editing all the names of the variables, going up to analyze, correlate, bivariate, put all the variables over. You get this massive table, and just go find the asterisks numbers, report all those out, what they mean, and then draw your conclusions to end the paper. This is a very good study, actually. This has actually turned out really well. I think it would have been interesting to play around with some of these numbers a little bit more, to see some, like grouping them together with those averages and whatnot. So good work on this. Let's just finish it up, get all this done, and just get back to me when you're done. I'm going to submit for you. I have to go submit grades right now, and so I'm going to submit it incomplete. I think you're going to get an A. This looks really good. I mean, I haven't done any calculations for this class yet, but I got to get those grades in today. Don't worry about the incomplete. We're working together. We'll change that. As soon as you get your paper, I'll change the grade to whatever it is. So you did a good job this semester. This is right to the end here, and motivation is law. So I totally understand how this is going. So get this done, and we should be all set. And it's been a pleasure. And I got to read your name at graduation. I was the person reading all the names. So when you watch the video tomorrow and celebrate your success, I was able to call out your name and Sierra, and several other students that I know who are graduating. So very, very good time. So take care and get back to me if you have any questions.